The July 19th Putnam County Planning Commission meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do a roll call, please. Here.
Heather Davis, Jim Dodrell, Brian Ellis, Ron Foster,
Here.
Jessica Griffith, David Hava, Brian Wellman,
Here.
David Mays,
Here.
David Meadows,
Here.
David Mills,
Here. Here.
Stephen Perry,
Here.
Travis Willard, Lynn Yeager.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay. The meeting minutes from the June 14th meeting are on your tablet as well as in the pre-reads. Take a look. Any corrections, let us know. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes is presented.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next part of our meeting is citizens' concerns. This is a chance for anybody in the public that would like to bring a concern before the board that's not going to be covered in the agenda. All righty, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and open their public hearing for the Kevin and Ashley Ledson temporary use permit. Is there any disclosures of conflict on the board? All right, staff.
Kevin and Ashley Ledson have submitted a Putnam County zoning permit application for a temporary use to locate and inhabit an 8-foot, 6-inch wide by 29-foot long recreational vehicle on tax map 213 parcel 7.3, which is located at 1810 State Route 34, Hurricane, West Virginia 25526. The recreational vehicle is proposed to be inhabited by the Ledsons 5 to 6 days per week during the construction of a new home on the same property. Construction of the new home is tentatively scheduled to commence August 1st, 2022, and be completed by March of 2023. The property is zoned C1, Suburban Commercial District. It is the intent of the C1 Suburban Commercial District to provide for retail businesses and services that serve primarily the residents of suburban areas of the county. This district shall allow convenience and personal service establishments generally compatible through proper site planning with residential uses. By limiting the number of uses and intensity of development, the surrounding residential and commercial property values shall be enhanced by protecting them from excessive levels of noise, lighting, or other nuisances. The authority tonight comes from the zoning ordinance for the zoned unincorporated areas of Putnam County, Articles 1700.07 A and B, 1700.10 unique temporary permits, 2000.3 request for temporary zoning permits. Okay, on to the facts. On June 7th, 2022, Ms. Ashley Ledson emailed the Office of Planning and Infrastructure requesting to park a recreational vehicle on her and her husband's property at 1810 State Route 34, Hurricane, West Virginia 25526, tax map 213, parcel 7.3, and leave the recreational vehicle parked on the subject property during the construction of the family's proposed new home. The Ledsons intend to begin construction of the proposed new home on August 1st, 2022. The Ledsons intend to stay in the recreational vehicle 45 days and nights weekly to ensure that no building materials or tools are stolen and to prevent the proposed new home from being vandalized during its construction. See attachment A1 for Ashley's email. On June 8th of 2022, the Office of Planning and Infrastructure issued an administrative decision letter regarding the proposed habitation of a recreational vehicle in a C1 suburban commercial district. The C1 suburban commercial district does not allow habitation of a recreational vehicle use as a permitted principal use, a permitted accessory use, or a special permit use. A recreational vehicle does not meet Class A or Class B design standards for single-family dwellings. Therefore, the applicant must pursue a temporary zoning permit authorizing the use of land not otherwise permitted in this ordinance. The administrative decision relates solely to the habitation of the recreational vehicle in a C1 suburban commercial district and has nothing to do with the further development of the property located at 1810 State Route 34, Hurricane, West Virginia 25526. A Putnam County zoning permit application for temporary use and a disclosure statement were included with the administrative decision letter for the applicant's convenience. A copy of the administrative decision letter is included as attachment A2. On June 16th, 2022, Ashley Ledson submitted the completed Putnam County zoning permit application for temporary use to the Office of Planning and Infrastructure, along with a completed disclosure statement and required fee. A copy of the permit application is included as attachment B. The subject parcel is C1 Suburban Commercial District. A copy of the zoning map is included as attachment C. The subject parcel is highlighted. Most of the abutting properties are undisturbed woodlands. To the north of the subject parcel are C1 Suburban Commercial and R2 Mixed Residential Zone parcels. To the east of the subject parcel are R1 Single Family Zone parcels. To the south of the subject parcel are R1 Single Family and C1 Suburban Commercial parcels. To the west of the subject parcel are C1 Suburban Commercial parcels as well as State Route 34. On June 21st, 2022, the applicants indicated two proposed locations for the 8-foot 6-inch wide by 29-foot long recreational vehicle to be located during the construction of the new home on the subject parcel. See the X's on attachment D. On June 21st of 2022, the applicants provided two photographs of the recreational vehicle that is proposed for placement and habitation on the subject parcel. See attachments E1 and E2. On June 21st of 2022, the applicants indicated that they plan to utilize portable black water and gray water containers that can be loaded into a pickup truck and taken to an appropriate disposal facility. See examples of portable black water and gray water tanks that are designed to fit into the bed of a pickup truck. These types of tanks can easily be taken to an appropriate disposal facility. On June 24th of 2022, the applicants indicated that they plan to properly dispose of their black water and gray water from their portable tanks at Foxfire Campground. Their potable water tanks will be filled locally at their family's home nearby. On June 24th, 2022, the applicants stated that they plan to utilize the portable wastewater and potable water tanks until the public sewer or private septic system and water lines are installed on the subject parcel. The applicants estimated that this will be 2 to 3 months after commencing construction on their proposed home. On June 24th, 2022, the applicants stated that they plan to use a gasoline-powered generator to power the proposed recreational vehicle until AEP has electricity installed on the subject parcel. On June 27th, 2022, DOH indicated that the subject's parcel current driveway configuration will require a West Virginia DOH right-of-way encroachment permit as development has occurred in the DOH right-of-way. Therefore, the applicants do not currently have a permitted access to State Route 34. The DOH is concerned that the gradual bend in State Route 34 just north of the subject property's current driveway presents a potential hazard due to insufficient sight lines. This office and the DOH are awaiting data from the Ledson's engineer. See attachment G1. On June 27, 2022, the DOH indicated that if an accident occurred at the subject's property current location due to the movement of the recreational vehicle on or off the subject property, the accident would be a private legal matter between the parties involved in the accident, excluding the DOH from any legal responsibility. The width of the pavement of State Route 34 at the Ledson's proposed property entrance is 29 feet. The DOH right-of-way of State Route 34 just south of the Ledson's property line is 80 feet wide. The DOH right-of-way at State Route 34 at the Ledson's property line, at the Ledson's property line is 120 feet. See attachment G2. Photographs of the existing site from State Route 34 are included as attachment H 1 through 4. The speed limit on State Route 34 heading north toward the Ledson property is 55 miles per hour. The speed limit on State Route 34 heading south into the sweeping turn toward the Ledson's property is 40 miles per hour. On June 27th of 2022, a notice of public hearing letter was mailed to all abutting landowners within 250 feet of the subject parcel, as well as to the applicants. On June 30th of 2022, a notice of public hearing was published in the Hurricane Breeze newspaper. On July 12th of 2022, a sign was placed on site with notice of public hearing, date, time, and place. As of the morning of Wednesday, July 13th, 2022, the notice of public hearing sign posted the previous day was removed from the site. A replacement sign was posted Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. Ancillary facts regarding the temporary use application. On June 27th, 2022, PPSD indicated that the sewer main line terminates near tax map 213 parcel 7.4, which will require a mainline extension to reach the subject parcel. PPSD stated that a septic system for the subject parcel would be acceptable if the Putnam County Health Department was in approval. On July 11th, 2022, the Office of Planning and Infrastructure learned from the applicants that they would most likely install a septic system on the subject parcel as opposed to the mainline extension of PPSD services. On June 27th, 2022, PPSD indicated that water service to the subject property should be no problem. On July 14th of 2022, staff conferred with the Ledson's engineer, Mr. John James, about the following. Ashley Ledson has obtained an MPDES permit from the DEP. The DOH permit is in progress. Mr. James is conferring with the DOH and is confident that plenty of sightline exists between the entrance to the property and the sweeping curve on State Route 34. The DOH is reviewing. Putnam County Health Department has told the Ledsons that installation of a septic system with an aerator should not be a problem. On July 17th of 2022, this office received copies of a letter and permit for an on-site sewage disposal system from the Putnam County Health Department. Mr. James is in the process of drainage analysis for the site. A permit for construction regarding a development that has taken place on the subject parcel is yet to be formally requested or issued. A permit for construction of the proposed home on the subject parcel is yet to be formally requested or issued. Currently, the subject parcel at tax map 213, parcel 7.3 is in violation of the zoning ordinance and ILP ordinance due to development without a permit. This just came in at 4:02 today. This is an email from Engineer John James to Bill Dorsey of the DOH, and Mr. James says to Mr. Dorsey, attached is the permit application and drawings for the Ledson's driveway permit. Note that all site distances are well above the minimum. Please call with questions. There is not a reply from Mr. Dorsey to Mr. James on this email. This just came in at 4:02. Conditions for consideration. If the Planning Commission desires to approve the request of temporary use permit, the following conditions may be considered. Will surrounding properties be protected from excessive levels of noise, lighting, or other nuisances? Yes or no? Is the proposed location of the recreational vehicle as marked on Attachment D suitable to the Planning Commission? Yes or no? Does the Planning Commission find that the public health, safety, welfare, and morals will be served by approval of the requested temporary permit? Yes or no? The Planning Commission may attach such restrictions on a use proposed under a temporary permit as may be necessary to protect public health, safety, welfare, morals, or convenience. If so, please identify restrictions if applicable. Does the Planning Commission wish to first require issuance of the permit for a permanent single-family dwelling prior to issuance of the requested temporary use permit? Yes or no? Does the Planning Commission wish to first require issuance of the permit for the land development that has already taken place prior to issuance of the requested temporary use permit? Yes or no? Glad to answer any questions.
Got a couple questions, David. What land disturbance or land development has occurred that would require a permit from this office?
There has been, let's see, the DEP estimates that there has been approximately 3 acres of
So
development.
that's a DEP issue, not this office's issue, though, isn't it? We don't have jurisdiction over the DEP.
It's under 3 acres. It's 2.38 is what it is.
That's my question is what purview does this office have to request a permit for land development? Just that sole thing, since that's governed and guided by the DEP.
In the application process, for the permit, we have to have that.
I'll let you guys speak. You guys are coming up. I just wanted to get to this before.
I had a comment about what you just come out. I used to own this property, and August of 2020, I called this office to acquire a permit to do some excavation on that property and do some road grading and fix some culverts. I was told I did not need a permit because it was unrestricted vacant land.
That's kind of my point. This board has made it pretty evident in the past that when it is a DEP issue, there is no jurisdiction from this board on development. That's a DEP issue. If I want to go out here and I want to clear cut 50 acres of my land in Putnam County, that's my right. The DEP can come after me, but it's not a requirement from this office. That's just what I want to try and get some clarification on as we continue to go through. I mean, I know this has been discussed amongst this board, that's been discussed in the ordinance subcommittee multiple times, and we've made it pretty clear that land disturbance will not hold up, a DEP permit will not hold up the process. I'm just trying to get clarification on that.
Okay, I'll have to review the development application for in the zoned area, but that's a great question. I'll get you an answer.
Thank you. Now, if the applicant's present and would like to make a statement, please feel free to come forward, state your name and address, and you guys can come right here, microphone here.
She's talked to y'all more than I have, so I'll let her do it.
Can I tell you guys the story of how we led to this today? Can I
Yeah, just state your name and
Okay.
address, and then
I'm Ashley Ledson. This is my husband, Kevin.
Okay.
And we bought the property, as we see, 1810 State Route 34, off David in April of 2020. Is it okay if I just tell you how we led up to all this? Okay. So we purchased this property in April 2020. Before we purchased this, we did call the Office of Planning and Infrastructure. We talked to Kathy Hicks. I wasn't aware at that time that David and Melissa was over that office and stuff, because we wasn't originally from here. So Kathy assisted me at first, and I asked her about the building permits and stuff. I said, do we need a building permit to build a house there? We plan to build that in the summer. And she's like, yes. She pulled up the deed, and she pulled up the restrictions, and we saw where we could build a single-family residence there. And she said, you call me when you're ready. I'll email you over all that so we can put there. So my husband was going to doze the property, make it a little flatter and level it out and stuff so we can put some things there for a little girl. Well, anyway, I called her back before we purchased it from David. I said, we are planning to doze that property. Do we need a permit? And she said, no. She said, you do not need a permit for this. And me and he would have never proceeded to do all this.
Yeah, I never knows it unless they give me the okay to do it.
Because we are honest people, and we want to do what's right for you guys and what's right for us. And we would have never proceeded to do what we did if we thought we needed a permit. And then Melissa called me at the end of May initially and told me that we had violated and needed to get a permit for all that. I explained to her that, and she said that we need to hire an engineer. And then I come to find out that this office and maybe one more person turned us into the DEP and turned us into the Department of Highways, which we have complied with that. We've hired John James. We have complied with the DEP. Our permit's in place. We have got our permits for our septic in place. And we're just asking for someone just to help us out with, we ain't asking for nothing special. We're just asking to understand where we're coming from because we want to do the right thing. And we don't want to make y'all's area take from it or nothing. We just want to get settled and raise our family. So we applied for the camper permit. She said to submit the application, and we went through the process with David and her and done that. And the only reason we're asking for that is because we just feel like it would
I drive an hour and 40 minutes to work. every
each
day.
direction.
And I was trying to get a little bit closer, and so nobody steal my building materials. That's the only reason
And when David had this property, I'm sure he can show you pictures, there was people that came through his fence and violated his property, wasn't there?
yeah, he had a chain.
Tore down his fence, and we just think if we have 20 grand worth of materials up there and we're not able to get up here tonight, you know what I mean? We're just trying to look out for our stuff. And we'll do whatever you guys ask us to do, and we'll get our permits. We're just asking to
Yeah.
show us what we need to do because
Well, I
we're
apologize.
trying to do the right thing.
I apologize for the confusion because my stance is you didn't need an MPDS permit. And if you're under 3 acres, you definitely don't need an MPDS permit. And this office had no jurisdiction to tell you as such because we've made it pretty clear that we're not going to hold up permits in this office with or without MPDS approval because we don't have an arm over that. We don't have a dog in that fight. So I personally apologize to you for that. Now, I do have one question. For your power, would you switch your RV over once your temporary power was installed, I'm assuming? You're not waiting?
Well, it had a gas generator on there,
Yeah,
but I'm not using the gas generator.
okay,
I'm waiting until the power company comes and put temporary in.
okay.
Our post set.
Yeah.
And we're probably not even gonna be able to start August 1st because we haven't proceeded with bank financing yet because we're scared. We're just concerned that this is not
It's
gonna
just
work
been
out.
held up every time we do something.
Sure.
And there's been so many obstacles in this. It seems like every week we had a new concern from you initially, and it's like, we just can't believe what we've had to go through. We thought this was a great area to come and to raise a family, and it's like, I don't know.
This is the third time building a house, and this is the only trouble I've had.
Well,
And we've dozed and stuff before.
I have one question. It might have been said with IRB camps, I understand camper, sidewalk, prairie water, but your main water supply up there, I'm not sure if it was stated, how are you guys going to have?
trucking,
Trucking it in?
yeah.
We got a big container.
Are you currently in compliance with your MPDS permit?
To the DEP, yeah. They gave us our permit 2 weeks ago.
There's a difference in having a permit and being in compliance.
We haven't, he gave us a few violations, but we haven't fixed it. Is that what you're asking me?
That's what I'm asking.
We haven't yet because we were told to wait to get all these permits in
Yeah, we
place.
haven't fixed it because I was told not to move no more dirt
An
until,
MPDS permit required, whether you move 3/4 acre,
We were told we had to get that through, Melissa told me that I had to get,
take the planning office out.
okay,
What did the DEP require?
what are they going to require of us?
They must have required you to get a permit or you would have not, is that correct?
yeah, just to put ditches in and,
Utilities?
yeah,
And have you all started that process yet?
no,
So we were told we shouldn't
yeah.
do
told not to
nothing on the
disturb
property
anything.
until we get all the permits in progress. We just got
Who told you that?
this office.
I think that's
Office of
right.
Planning.
I believe that's the confusion on my question here with the last bullet point, which was, does the planning commission wish to first require issuance of the permit for the land development acreage that's already taken place? I think they're saying that they don't feel they want to move forward if we haven't issued the land development acreage or permit for the land development acreage.
Yeah, the NPDS permit still has to be met, regardless of what we do. Is that not correct?
Depends on if you want to be fined or not, but yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, you're either going to fix it or get fined, so.
Yeah.
And that's the state.
yeah, I mean, it's not their issue.
Jason says, they still have to get a permit to build a house, is that not correct?
That's
They need a
correct.
building permit, I would think, for the house. Okay. Well, we appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions for the
Well,
applicant?
I think that should raise another question, is obviously the land development piece, I think we've already put that aside, but the permit for the actual residents, have you guys done that process? Has there been more application?
No. Haven't started that yet because we're trying to get everything else lined out up to that.
We were told we had to get the development permit. We could submit the development permit and the building permit at the same time. That's why we haven't proceeded yet.
I got a question. This is more to staff. What is the difference in this situation for the development permit versus the building permit? We're talking about a single structure. Why is a building permit for that structure not adequate? Thinking back to when I built my house in the county, I got a building permit, not a development permit.
The zoning permit for zoned areas calls out in a section for, let me find it here. Development without structure, fill, grading, et cetera, as part of the development.
It's because it's C1 and not just.
Well, it's in a zoned area,
So because it's a zoned area, C1,
yes,
we require a development permit.
that's correct.
Well, if it was R1, I mean, the developer would have to. R1 is a zoned area as well. What's the difference?
What's the difference between what's required under C1 and R1, if I'm understanding correctly? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, this is, I mean, with the filling and the grading, we're talking about, 2.5 acres. The DEP considers this an actual major development, or a development, as opposed to just like, cutting a house seat on a typical lot.
Because it's the size of the lot.
Yeah.
If it was in a residential zoning, they would not need a commercial development permit. Am I understanding that correctly, or the property?
Well, if it's not a 2.5, 3 acre grading project.
Do we specify that acreage, that's a trigger?
Pardon?
Or does our ordinance specify that acreage as a trigger?
I would have to check that.
Okay.
The disturbed acre is 2.38, but I know when David does that, we really haven't touched 2.38. We have field,
Yeah.
but we haven't.
No,
we
we
haven't.
already had like an acre already done
Sure.
before we even bought
The
it.
original lot that I had to adopt was 180 by 90.
Okay, just for clarity, so I understand, for lack of better terms, the flat spot on top of the hill,
Yeah.
is that the 2.3 acres you're discussing, or talking about?
Mhm.
Okay, well, you're also disturbing the road, whatever width that is, and whatever that means.
We had to hire a surveyor too to get, this had to be all surveyed again just a few weeks ago. The whole area from the road up to the end of it there is 2.38.
Including the road.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. and Mrs. Ledson? I'll open up also, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Also open up for anybody else in the public that would like to make a comment or speak about this matter. Just state your name and address, please.
My name's Dave Lytle. I live at 5416 Hillbrook Drive in Charleston. and I owned the property before I sold it to the Letsons. And I did the very same thing. I was going to build a house on this property, but I've had some family issues and pay cuts and everything else, so we put the house or the property on the market. But before that happened, I had called this office and told them, hey, I want to put a house site on this piece of property. There's already an existing road. It was there when I bought it in 2018. And there was already drainage and culverts in place. Those drainages, culverts had rusted out and filled with settlement, and I explained that to this office, that I was just going to replace the culverts, do the grading on the road, and then clear a 180 by 90 house site. And do I need a permit for that? And I was specifically told no. It was unrestricted vacant land. So I did. I went on with the process. I hired a excavation company, and they did the work for me. I even got with Osho-Crago's land manager before I did the work because I needed a place to park the equipment and the dozers. And when we talked to her, she said that was fine. And she did voice a concern about runoff, and I told her that there would be no runoff issues, that all the drainage is going to be fixed. I really don't know what else to say. I am kind of heartbroken for the Letsons because they're fulfilling their dream that I once had. And to be going through all this here is very upsetting to me as a seller. And I know that them as the buyer, they're also very upset. But they are going to improve the look of 34. When you come through 34, that dirt's going to go away. It's going to be pretty green pasture land and a pretty house. I mean, it's no longer going to be a vacant lot sitting there. It's going to improve the visual aspect coming down 34. And I'm talking about the DOH and then the curve. I've never had an issue. I've once had a camper on that property while I was looking for a place to store mine. It wasn't an issue getting it in and out there. And the gentleman that lives on past this property, Tom Fisher's his name. I've talked to him. We hunt up there on the hill, and he's not had any issues. The only thing that is confusing me is the C1 zoning. Has it always been C1? Because when I had the deed work done, when I bought it in 2018, it was unrestricted residential land. When did C1 become a zone for this piece of property? Has it been recent?
I would have to research that.
Okay. Because like I said, looking at the paperwork, the C1 does not ring a bell with me whatsoever. It seems pretty new. What's it?
If it was in the original zoning swath, it would have been zoned in 1997. If it was in a second degree zone or swath, it would have been done in 2002. Either way, it's been at least.
Like I said, I mean, this is new to me. I would have definitely shared this information with the Lessons before I sold it to anybody.
All of the disturbance, the 2.3 acres, is that disturbance that you had completely done? Okay.
No, I regraded the road that was already existing, and there was a sloped clearing where I put the house site. All I did was take the slope out, and it turned it into 180 by 90. I don't have anything else.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Waddle?
Yeah.
Thank you.
David, have they, other than this NDPS, have they gotten all the permits that they need?
They've submitted no applications for to build the house or anything.
But until they do that, have the permits been needed to get to the point where they can start doing it? Or get the permit applied for the house bill?
Well, there has been nothing's been applied for, other than the use, temporary use to put the RV on the property during the construction.
Because we were told, though, that we needed this development permit in place, that's why we haven't applied. We're ready to apply today for this building permit. We have a contractor, I told her that we're holding up, and so we need answers. I mean, we're gonna lose this builder, so.
Yeah, I think what we need, our goal should be here tonight is not only answer the temporary use, but provide some guidance on some actionable steps, right? It seems like I for myself, would like to see that as well.
Yeah, I would agree from my seat that needs to happen tonight.
David, is it planning office's opinion, because it's 2.3 acres of disturbance, they need a disturbance permit?
It would be a permit for the grading, and a permit for the house.
They need one for each.
That's, yes.
So for clarity purposes, for people who live in
Linson's.
Okay, I think that's clarity. You've got 2 permits that you need to get. I think we'd all like to see you get them, but you got to apply. Is that pretty much, is
I think so.
Well, that's,
They need to get those before they get this temporary.
no,
We can get a conditional.
absolutely not.
Give them a conditional and say, father.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Well, let me, before we get a little too far down the end here, anybody else, yeah, because we're still in the public hearing. Does anybody else from the public like to come forward and make a comment?
Can I make one more?
Yeah, sure, there's nobody else here.
I'm sorry, I'm just confused, because like I said, when I called, when I owned the property and told them what I was doing, I was told I do not need a permit to do grading, to fix the culverts, and clear the house. When they originally called, they were told the same thing. Now, why is it now that they have to have a development permit? And I did when I did it, and then before they even started, they were told they wasn't. It wasn't.
And then, let me tell you this too, this ain't just a permit to ask for, I mean, they've asked a lot from us to be single family residents. I can see if we were a major business coming in the area. I mean, we've had to hire an engineer, which is gonna cost us thousands of dollars. We've had to get a survey done. We've got to get drainage requirements, plans in place. They're asking for like 5 or 6 different things for him to work on to get finished before we can even apply for this permit. That's what he's finishing up this week. I just feel like that's a lot to ask for a single family residence to go through all that just for a house and a barn. I just feel like that's a lot to ask for. But we'll do whatever we have to do to comply. But we just feel like we haven't been treated fairly. When David went through the same thing, and why was it so much simpler for him?
He didn't have all that.
Yeah, I mean, I was specifically told I didn't need a permit to do the grading, fix the road, to do the culverts.
Any chance you have any of that in writing or via email? Okay.
It was all phone call. And it was during the main COVID pandemic, they didn't want nobody in here, it was all over the telephone.
I'm not ignoring you, I'm reading through our ordinance here.
Fine.
David, I could see one trigger, obviously trigger the need for the temporary permit. That also trigger the need for the other.
Well, it's a zoned area, and for this temporary permit we're here to talk about tonight, it's, you can't inhabit an RV in a C1 without a temporary use permit.
Hey, David, can you tell me, I'm in the C1 suburban commercial zone, Article 600. What section do I need to be in that would tell me that they do need a land development permit for this zone? Because I'm not seeing it just in Article 600. Now, granted, I'm quickly looking here. Up 600.05.
I have to check it out. I'll get back to you.
We tried to find that too, and I don't see, we couldn't find anything that says that we need that.
I'll defer it to Melissa. Melissa, would you happen to know?
Yeah, two different locations. C1's not the spot.
Okay.
So, the county originally had a base ordinance, it's called the improved location permit ordinance. It's not in the zoning ordinance, it's an overall ordinance. It talks about development in there, and it also references you to the stormwater section, which is 1500 in the zoning ordinance. And those are the two locations in which the development of this type of nature would fall under permit.
I'm sorry.
The ILP ordinance is improvement location permit ordinance.
So I am, and again, forgive me, I'm just quickly looking, so I've got questions. You know, if I read in Article 1500, just under the stormwater, required drainage systems, all multifamily, leased communities, non-residential developments, and redevelopments shall have adequate provisions for storm or flood water runoff, channels, basins, based on the list of criteria. Based on that, again, just looking at this doesn't meet any of those. This is a single-family residential.
Yeah, it's, if you go to maybe the next to last page.
Okay.
It still talks about redevelopment. It's under your sediment and erosion control plan. I'll give you the exact page.
Stormwater management erosion control plan shall be submitted for multifamily, leased communities, non-residential developments, and redevelopment projects. What's the definition of a redevelopment project?
I can give you the definition of a development, and it goes hand in hand with your improvement location permit ordinance, which is in a different.
It's not, this ordinance calls out redevelopment, so my question is, what's the definition of redevelopment?
It's a definition of development.
Okay.
What does it say under development?
If you look on the very first page of your summary, the definition for development is there, and I'll go ahead and read it to you from the zoning ordinance.
It's any man-made change to
Yeah,
improve or unimproved real estate, including but not limited to buildings or other structures, mining, dredging, filling, grading, paving, excavation, drilling operations, or subdivision. That's development.
Okay. All right, anybody else have any questions for staff? All right, I will close the public hearing. So we need to make a decision on the temporary use permit for the Letsons to temporarily place a RV on their property during construction. Any discussion amongst the board?
Question, what's the time frame of the temporary permit? Just out of curiosity. I didn't see it in there.
12 months. with
12 months?
the ability to extend it.
August through March.
So their plans are.
No, your point, not the permit, or the temporary permit would last for
Should be
12 months? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Not to exceed 1 year.
Okay.
now,
I have absolutely no problem. I don't understand why you want a temporary permit to build the house off. If we issue a temporary, then put septic system in, technically, put on the at least for an extended period. Temporary residence that can get those two permits.
And make it
We
go.
have this condition. Already approved.
Temporary.
And they don't have to come back here, they have approval.
Yeah, I would agree, and honestly, if I'm them looking at it this way, I've been dragged through the mud this far. If I can't get the temporary permit, then maybe I'm not gonna build anyway, and I'd sell. It's probably where I'd probably be at this point. Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that my opinion is that it's a no-brainer on giving the conditional permit, or the temporary permit, excuse me.
Quick question, I know we've rezoned properties before, but does that make this easier if they took that route instead of pursuing these permits and keeping it C1?
No, I think what's easier is we add this to our agenda in the ordinance subcommittee and look for a caveat and get this crap out of the ordinance. Yeah, because to be honest, I understand what development states, but it's a direct conflict in the rest of the ordinances for this.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm saying in their particular instance, I was just curious if there was a simpler route.
No, there's still 45 more days out probably, just on the reason to do a rezone.
Yeah.
Plus additional cost to, yeah, I
exactly.
agree.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it's longer or if it's more complicated, then, so hypothetical.
David, how long is it gonna take you all or your staff to get the permits issued once the proper information is provided?
Shouldn't take long at all once everything's provided. Mr. James is still working on his information, but I mean, once we have everything, it's, days.
Are you all clear on everything you need to provide to us so that our staff can turn that around?
That would be for the grading and for the residential. Just ensure that you guys know exactly what you need.
A developer permit is a building of the house, correct?
Now, we would not hold up our review and our issuance of the permit if we've not received DOH or DEP approval, correct? That just becomes a condition of the permit that technically they can't start, but we've done this in the past. Again, those two issues are not under our jurisdiction.
I mean, if everything's in compliance with the ILP ordinance, shouldn't be a problem.
When have a temporary permit, and then set a motion to get it done. That's the way it's all, the way it was.
This will speak to what Mr. Foster said. It's somewhat in line with Mr. Perry, who said that I would like to make it conditional based upon having the two permits applied for and provided when I was the temporary use.
Real quick for clarification, does the temporary time, would you put a caveat, and I'm assuming you're making this in the form of a motion, and would the temporary permit start once ground is broke or once the permit is issued?
Permits issued.
Okay.
And I would put that in the motion.
A second.
So we got a motion, got a second to issue the temporary permit once the land development and the building permit have been issued by the office. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You guys are welcome to stay for the remainder of our meeting if you would like. If not, it's not going to hurt our feelings if you've got more and better things to go do.
Do we have an engineer in place now to look at these permits? Last week I was told that we didn't have one, but we was going to be in the process, that we might be held up some. So do we have one in place to review them when they're submitted?
Yes. We have two that.
Yep.
I have one question, just to clarify, it's kind of hard to hear right here sometimes. Does the Department of Highways permit have to be approved before we can get these permits? Or they just have to be in process?
You can get your permit prior to having your DOH permit. I would not suggest you be doing very much, because the DOH has a lot more authority than we do. We're
Our,
not attorneys.
our permits should not be held up based on outside agencies that we have no jurisdiction over. All right, next on the agenda, the monthly report.
Okay, our next meeting is August 16th. Currently on the agenda is a classification variation. You have the tables here of permits, everything that's going on permit-wise. I can give you a brief synopsis of where we're at relative to last year. In the first 7 months of 2021, we had 91 development permits and 40 zoning permits. The first 7 months of 2022, we've had 126 development permits and 47 zoning permits. That's a 38% increase over 2021 in development permits and 17% increase over 2021 in zoning permits. Since 2009, we've averaged 113 development permits. We're 11% over for 2022, and since '09, we've averaged 43 zoning permits, and right now we're 9% over that average for 2022.
David, I don't know if you've probably gone this micro with it, but have you seen any pullback in the last couple months because of the rising interest rates and just the fear of the economy?
It's slowed down a little bit in in the warmer months. You can see that earlier in January, February, March, and April, we were doing more permits, and it's slowed down when the weather's gotten warm. I don't know if that has anything to do with the interest rates or not.
Just curious with everyone's fear of a recession, that's kind of flip us back. That's just personal curiosity.
Anything else there, David?
Pardon?
Anything else on the monthly?
No, that's all.
Okay. Any unfinished business? Okay. New business, the only thing, the ordinance subcommittee meets on this Thursday. We've got a lot of work to be done. I'm hoping could we make that on the August agenda, depending on the outcome of our ordinance subcommittee meeting tomorrow, or Thursday, excuse me?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you there.
Could we make the August 16th meeting for the ordinance subcommittee if we have ordinance changes? Does that fall in the timeline?
Are you saying could we get any text amendments done before that time?
If we get any text amendments done Thursday, would that get us, can we get it on the August 16th agenda?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to prioritize because there's a lot on that agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about it and we,
I would like to get everything done and start lining these up for meetings, because I want this done before the year's up.
Sure. Yeah, as long as we prioritize, what we want done first.
Sure.
And we'll get them done that way.
Okay. And that's all I've got on new business. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
I would say that's all they need.